Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss peptic ulcer disease and myself Dinesh Dangar. As you can see here from the image, we will discuss about the ulcer formation, how exactly it is formed, what are the causes of it, what exactly it involves during the pathogenesis of it, what are the complications and the medical interventions available for the treatment of ulcer disease. While considering peptic ulcer disease, we can call it as PUD. And see, it always refers to the chronic mucosal ulceration. Actually અહીંયા જે અલ્સરેશન જોવા મળે છે એ મ્યુકોઝલ લેયર નેક્સ્ટ ઇઝ એમના પછી જે આવે છે તે સબમ્યુકોઝલ લેયર એમને એ ઇન્વોલ્વ કરતું હોય છે એન્ડ જનરલી ઇટ ઇન્વોલ્વ્સ the duodenum and the stomach. If you can remember the anatomy of gastrointestinal tract, first thing that is stomach, next one the duodenum. Actually it is a part of the small intestine. Small intestine starts with the duodenum, next portion that is jejunum, and next is the ileum. So here always the ulcer will be present in cases of or in stomach and the duodenum. Herely, while considering the peptic ulcer disease, it is common in cases of persons with cigarette smoking or the smokers. Next, if person is used to have NSAIDs, that is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and in many cases of H. pylori infection, a kind of bacteria, that is Helicobacter pylori infection. So these are the main three causes which can lead to have a formation of peptic ulcer disease. The most common form of peptic ulcer disease that occurs within the gastric antrum, right? It is generally confined to the gastric antrum only. In some incidences, it may transmit to the duodenum, and here generally it will be in a chronic form. And H. pylori induced enteral gastritis, again it can be associated with the increased gastric acid secretion and the decreased duodenal bicarbonate secretion. See, while considering gastrointestinal tract, there are major two factors which governs the activity of peptic ulcer disease, or which governs the activity of the normal homeostasis in gastrointestinal tract, especially in cases of stomach. So there are two factors. One is aggressive factor, next one that is the defensive factors. Aggressive factors are those which are responsible for the increased acid secretion, and the defensive factors which neutralizes or it retards the activity of that released acid. So in cases of peptic ulcer disease, there will be an imbalance between these aggressive factors and the defensive factors. The major factor that is there will be availability of increased gastric acid within the lumen and the decreased activity of bicarbonates. Actually, here bicarbonates comes under the defensive mechanism. અહીંયા પેપ્ટિક અલ્સરના કેસની અંદર શું જોવા મળે છે તો કે અગ્રેસિવ ફેક્ટર અને ડિફેન્સિવ એ બંનેની અંદર ઇમ્બેલેન્સ જોવા મળે. એક ફેક્ટર એવા છે કે જેમના કારણે એસિડિટી વધે છે, સ્ટમકનું કન્ટેન્ટ જે છે ઇટ મે બીકમ મોર એન્ડ મોર એસિડિક, રાઈટ, વેર ધ એક્ઝેક્ટલી અપોઝિટ વન દેટ ઇઝ ધ ડિફેન્સિવ મિકેનિઝમ. એમનું કામ શું હશે તો કે જે એસિડ જે છે એમને ન્યુટ્રલાઇઝ કરવાનું છે. એસિડના કારણે જે જે એપિથેલિયલ સેલ્સ જે છે એ ડેમેજ થયેલા છે તો એમણે એ જે મ્યુકસ મેમ્બ્રેન જે છે એમને ડેમેજ કરેલું છે, મ્યુકોઝા સબમ્યુકોઝાને ડેમેજ કરેલું છે તો એમનું રીજનરેશન કરવું. તો આ બંને જે ફેક્ટર્સ જે છે એમની વચ્ચે ઇમ્બેલેન્સ હશે કે જ્યાં જે એગ્રેસિવ ફેક્ટર્સ છે એમનું રિલીઝ વધારે હોય અને સામે જે ડિફેન્સિવ મિકેનિઝમ છે તો ડિફેન્સિવ ફેક્ટર્સ જે છે એમની એક્ટિવિટી ઘટેલી જોવા મળતી હોય છે, જેમના કારણે અલ્સર ફોર્મેશન હતું, જેને અલ્સર એટલે ચાંદી જેને કહીએ છીએ, રાઈટ, એ અલ્સર ફોર્મેશન જોવા મળતું હોય છે. While considering the epidemiology, it can be generally seen in those developed countries. But one thing is that we need to note down here that in cases of developed country, there are less cases of Helicobacter pylori infection. In overall terminology or in overall numbers, looking at those numbers, it is highly seen or prevalence rate can be seen in developed countries, and it generally involves the age, that is 60 years or the older than the 60 years of the age. Etiology. While considering the etiology, the major five characters or the five parameters, that is, first is lifestyle, next is H. pylori infection, next is age, next is gender, and the genetic factors, and other certain other factors like stress. See, while coming to the lifestyle, right? Lifestyle is a major factor over here that contribute towards the development of ulcer, that is in peptic ulcer. So in that first parameter, that is smoking. In cases of smoker, they are more prone to develop it, and they may be suffering from these such kinds of ulcer formation after the age of most probably 40, 50, or the 60 year of the age. Again, it depends on the pack they used to have for a smoke, that is cigarette packets. Next is the acidic drinks. There are certain foods which may have a higher amount of acids into it, or we can call those aerated formulations or the aerated drinks. They may be responsible for the generation of more and more gastric acid inside the lumen or the stomach. Third factor, that is medications. If person is put on the certain medicaments like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, that is NSAIDs, and these NSAIDs are used during the treatment of inflammation or during the any kind of damage to specifically bones or the larger bones, where person used to have NSAIDs for a painkiller purpose or painkiller reason, and it may happen that they may suffer from PUD or the peptic ulcer disease. Next important factor, that is Helicobacter pylori infection, or we can call H. pylori infection. In cases of bacterial infection, 90% have developed this H. pylori infection, and generally again the next thing, that is it can passes from one person to another, from fecal to oral or through oral to oral route. Third criteria, that is the age. If it is present in duodenum, in that cases the age can be confined up to 30 to 40. In cases of gastric, generally it develops after 50 years. See, it is not like that. If that gastric ulceration can be seen at the age of 50 years, no, it may be present since childhood, but symptoms may be or may not be seen up to that specific age, right? That's why it is seen in older patients or with older age only. In cases of gender, in cases of duodenum, they are increasing in older patients. Next is genetic factors. Here, in cases of genetic factor, we can consider those persons who are likely, if any of family member is suffering from PUD. It doesn't mean it involves all those with the history of the family. There are certain other factors which can worsens the condition of that specific residual ulcer, that is stress. See, stress is not a cause for the development of ulcer, but we can consider that it can deteriorate the condition and it can further worsens the situation. બરાબર, તો આટલા કોઝિસ છે while considering the PUD. લાઇફસ્ટાઇલ છે, અગેન લાઇફસ્ટાઇલની અંદર મોડિફિકેશન કરવામાં આવે તો પણ ચેન્જ થઈ શકે છે, એમની સિવિયરિટી ઘટાડી શકાય છે. એચ પાયલોરી ઇન્ફેક્શન ઓર ધી એજ, જેન્ડર, જેનેટિક ફેક્ટર્સ એન્ડ ધી અધર ફેક્ટર્સ. Okay, next is the types of ulcer. You can see here the anatomy of gastrointestinal tract in that specific three parts, that is esophagus, stomach, and the duodenum or the starting portion of the small intestine. Here esophagus, next is the stomach. In between there will be a presence of that cardiac orifice, which acts as a gate or which prevents the backflow of the the content of the stomach from the stomach to the esophagus. right? So that is cardiac sphincter. Next is the next that larger curvature or the greater curvature. It includes the fundus and the body, and opposite side we can see the lesser curvature of the stomach. And next is the next gate, which allows to move in the food material from the stomach to the small intestine, that is pyloric sphincter and the duodenum. As here it is mentioned in diagram, you can see that the ulceration, the most probable site, first thing, that is in cases of lesser curvature on the stomach, that is gastric ulcer. If ulcer or the formed ulcer remains in stomach only, then we can call it as a peptic ulcer or the gastric ulcer. Again we can call it as gastritis. If ulcer is present in duodenum, we can call it as a duodenitis. If ulcer is present between these two, that is, or in both, that is stomach and the duodenum, we can call PUD, that is peptic ulcer disease. And if ulcer formed in esophagus, then we can call it as an esophagitis. બરાબર, તો અહીંયા બે ટાઈપ જનરલી જોવા મળે છે, ગેસ્ટ્રિક પેપ્ટિક અલ્સર અને ડિયોડિનલ પેપ્ટિક અલ્સર. ગેસ્ટ્રિક પેપ્ટિક અલ્સર ક્યાં જોવા મળશે? ઇન સ્ટમક. In cases of duodenal peptic ulcer, it will be available in duodenum or the starting point of the ileum. Again, there might be a question: if stomach may have a acidic secretion, then it is obvious that it can develop PUD or the ulcer formation. Then how in duodenum it occurs? See, as you may be knowing, and we have already studied that while studying the second semester human anatomy physiology, we have discussed about digestive system. We know that once the complete that is, absorption of the food material is done in or within the stomach, for further absorption the specific material, that is food material, will get transported into the ileum. Now we know that the content of the gastric that is coming out from the stomach may have a higher acidity, or it is acidic content. As soon as gate opens, the duodenum will be the first who receives it. It means while reaching to the duodenum, the content will be acidic. So it is firmly believed that in many cases even the duodenum may develop ulcer due to that specific entering acidic content from stomach to the duodenum. So here there are two types: gastric and the duodenal peptic ulcer. Okay, next come to the diagnosis. How exactly it can be diagnosed? In cases of, if it is ulcer is formed in oral cavity, it is visual and anybody can go ahead with the treatment, or they can diagnose that yes, there is a crater or there is a ulcer, whether it is a bleeding or not. But in cases of, if it is present or it is confined into the stomach or the duodenum or esophagus, then endoscopy will be performed. In this case, the specific technique is used, and it is termed as esophagogastroduodenoscopy. See, esophagitis, gastro, that refers to the stomach, and the duodenum, that is what? Duoden, that is duodenum. So with the help of this kinds of technique, that is this kinds of endoscopic technique, we can evaluate the presence of ulcer in esophagus, stomach and duodenum. That's why it is named as EGD, that is esophagogastroduodenoscopy. Here a kind of, it is a kind of endoscopic procedure where the person can visualize, or the specific person who is operating it, or most probably the doctor, right, he or she can diagnose the presence of ulcer can be find out, or it is confirmed. Again, with this they can have a capability that it can have a biopsies. In cases of biopsies, that specific regions of ulcer, in that cases from ulcer, certain tissue segments or the certain parts of tissues can be removed, surgically removed with the help of certain instrument, like even through endoscopy also it can be performed. where the tissue specimen can be received through that procedure, and further it can be diagnosed in laboratory or lab scale. And again, it can be helpful in the diagnosis of cancer also, as well as to diagnose the Helicobacter pylori infection. In other technique, we can go ahead with the certain upper gastrointestinal series like the UGIs. Like for that, barium can be swallowed. Barium is a kind of chemical which generally stick with the that specific necrosed area or the degenerated areas or the areas of the ulcer, and while going through the X-ray, it emits light or the fluorescence, so that X-ray that visualizes the structures of the upper gastrointestinal tract. Next, urea breathing test can be performed, and this specific test can be used with H. pylori infection, or the if doctor comes to know that or they have a main reason or the susceptibility that a person is suffering from the H. pylori infection. In that cases, they can go directly go ahead with the urea test or the urea breathing test, where person will be given with the the solution which is carbon enriched urea solution, and then the exhaled amount of carbon dioxide or the exhaling carbon dioxide will be measured with spirometer, and then it can be confirmed, because those bacteria, that is Helicobacter pylori, utilizes the urea for their food. Next, we can go ahead with the complete blood count or CBC can be performed for in cases or the major cases of peptic ulcer disease, where ulcer will be bleeding, so there will be a blood loss or blood occult can be found within the urine or in a stool. So even for the stool examination can be performed. So these are all the techniques or that the diagnostic test can be performed for PUD. Okay, next important parameter, that is the pathogenesis. See, PUD always results from the imbalances between the mucosal defense mechanism and those aggressive factors, that is the damaging factors that causes the chronic gastritis. Again, see why it is used as a word is used, that is gastritis. If ulcer is confined into the stomach only, then we can call it as gastritis. So what are the aggressive factors? We can consider acid, pepsin, bile salts, certain drugs like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, that is NSAIDs, and due to the H. pylori. So these are all the factors which increases the production and the release of gastric acid from the parietal lumen or the parietal cells, or from the membrane of the stomach wall, that is mucosal membrane. Next is there are certain defensive factors which can try to equilibrium or which can try to neutralize the already released content of the gastric acid or the gastric acid concentration. So it generally neutralizes it, as well as it enhances the regenerative capacity or the capability of the normal layer or the through the mucous membrane. So here the defensive factors are, first thing, that is the mucus. Mucus is a type of barrier which covers the entire epithelium of the or the mucosa of the stomach. So first thing, that is mucus. Next is the bicarbonate layer, which involves the bicarbonate again. Next is the blood flow. Next is the cell renewal. Next there are certain factors like prostaglandins, that is PGs. Next phospholipids, and there are certain even free radical scavengers which can neutralizes the gastric acid content which is already present within the lumen or the stomach. Again, in cases of that, how exactly or up to which extent it can cause damage. So what we have sections of the small intestine. Here you can see that in normal, you can see a normal flora or the pattern that can be observed with the normal normal individuals or the normal healthy person, where you can see the intact mucous membrane. Next is the mucosa with those finger-like projections, that is villi and the microvilli. Next is the mucosa, submucosa, and at last there will be a presence of muscles. So there is no degeneration or the the deterioration of that any specific kind of damage. Whereas in the cases of peptic ulcer, you can see that the crater, like the crater is seen, and this crater may be bleeding or non-bleeding. Again, if it is bleeding, it means it has caused damage up to the basement membrane, that is submucosa, or it has penetrated after also submucosa up to the mucosal layer, right? After submucosa there will be a presence of those smooth muscles. If they are intact, it means it will not be bleeding. If it is bleeding, it means the damage is extensive, where we can see the necrotic debris. Next is certain non-specific acute inflammation can be seen. If it is inflammation, it means it already gathered the fluid, or the edema can be seen. There will be a presence of the neutrophils and the monocytes at the site of the infection, as well as certain granulation tissues, and it may lead to have fibrosis. So here H. pylori infection, NSAIDs, aspirin, cigarette smoking, alcohol consumption, gastric hyperacidity, duodenal gastric reflux acts as an increased damage, or it increased damage causing factors. Whereas ischemia, where blood flow will get uh, reduced, or it is interrupted, so that enough amount of blood may not be reaching to the site of action. Next is in cases of shock, if it is or the patient is suffering from the delayed gastric emptying, where food may be remain for a longer duration of time inside the stomach, and as soon as that specific time increases, the more and more gastric acid will be released inside the lumen. As well as there are certain host factors which can causes, or which can impairs the defense mechanism of the defensive factors. So that is about the pathogenesis of PUD. Next is the Helicobacter pylori. As you can see here in diagram, its structure, there are specific types of bacteria, that is Helicobacter pylori. Here peptic ulceration is strongly associated with the H. pylori infection. Their prevalence of H. pylori infection rises steadily with age, and it is not again sure that once H. pylori enters into the body, it starts multiplying and it can causes ulcer formation very rapidly. No, in many cases, first thing that is, it may undergo further development, where it may produces, or it may produce many more numbers of the same Helicobacter pylori within the lumen, and up to that time it will be in non or asymptomatic mode. And it may happen that that infection may occur in childhood but remains asymptomatic, and in only the minority of people develop the clinical disease with the Helicobacter pylori immediately. See, Helicobacter pylori infection always lead to have a confusion with the other types of peptic ulcer disease, because in many cases even doctor may not be knowing that he or she may be suffering from the Helicobacter pylori infection. If specific urea trace can be performed, then only it can be concluded that yes, he or she is suffering from Helicobacter pylori, and after that antibiotic will be prescribed. Okay, what are the risk factors? While considering the risk factors for the development of PUD, that is first thing, that is H. pylori infection. Again, as I have stated earlier, for that specific antibiotics will be prescribed. Cigarette use. See, while considering the smokers, if person is suffering from Helicobacter pylori infection and he or she is a smoker, then it can worsen the condition. Next is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that is COPD. In cases of COPD also it develops PUD. There are certain drugs that we can put it into the illicit category like cocaine, which particularly reduces the mucosal blood flow towards the that specific epithelium or this towards the mucosa and the submucosa, which can further causes PUT. Next is alcoholic cirrhosis can be seen. That is generally it can be seen with the primary in duodenal PUD. Next is psychological stress. Here the psychological stress can increases the gastric acid secretion. Next is the endocrine cell hyperplasia, where it can stimulate the parietal cell growth and causes gastric acid secretion. We can consider certain specific categories like Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, where peptic ulcer will be confined in stomach, duodenum as well as in jejunum. Other one thing that is not again here it is not mentioned, that is GERD, that is gastroesophageal reflux disorder. In that cases of is name indicates gastroesophageal reflux disorder, where generally person may feel that or person used to have a backflow of the content from the stomach to the esophagus. So it allows to move the content from the stomach to esophagus, and that leads to have damage in esophagus because the content that is moving from the stomach, right, it may have a presence of gastric acid or the content will be acidic and it can damages the mucosal layer of the esophagus. It may be because of or it may lead to have viral infection or might be because of viral infection like cytomegalovirus and the herpes simplex virus can cause this ulcer formation, that is peptic ulcer disease. What are the complications that can be seen with peptic ulcer disease? First thing, that is hemorrhage. Ultimately it causes, if it is not treated, it causes hemorrhage where blood vessels may undergo damage and ulcer further may lead to have a perforation or the craters may be bleeding, where it can cause this damage or the severely or extensively damages the smooth muscle wall and can cause this coffee ground vomit and the occult blood in the terry stool. In cases of stool, it can be seen with blood or the blood cells. Next is perforation. Here an ulcer can further erode through the entire wall. If it damages the entire wall, it can cause the complete blockage of that specific area and it may not be functionally active. Further, bacteria and the partially digested food split into the certain segments which can causes the perforation. While considering the narrowing and the obstruction, again it can be seen with pyloric as well as in the cases of cardiac orifice also. See, while considering the cardiac orifice, that is the entry point from where exactly the food enters from esophagus to stomach, right? So if food is present within the esophagus, it has to pass through the cardiac orifice. If that specific gate may not open, it means there will be a backflow of the food which can cause this further vomiting. So in many cases of that acidity or the hyperacidity or the PUD can cause this or it interferes with the that specific sphincters like cardiac orifice or the cardiac sphincter and the pyloric sphincter. And in cases if it disturb the normal pattern of the cardiac orifice, then it can be termed as a achalasia cardia. So it refers to the achalasia cardia, and in that cases person may have a heartburn. Okay, the last point, that is the management. In cases of management, first thing, that is the treatment involves the rest and the stress reduction. It is helpful in cases of stress induced ulcer. Next is nutritional management. In cases of blood loss or due to the bleeding, again it can be accompanied by the nutritional approach. Pharmacological management involves certain categories. First category, that is antacids. While considering the antacids, it can neutralize the acidic component, but that is what is their limitation. It just can neutralize the acid which is already present in lumen. It may not inhibit the further secretion of the gastric acid from the parietal cells. So that's why they are called as antacids or the antacids. Next one, proton pump inhibitors like Prilosec and the Prevacid. In that there are major category, there is like rabeprazole, pantoprazole, lansoprazole, right? That comes under proton pump inhibitors. Proton pump inhibitor has got advantage over here in this theory or the therapy, because it can further block the gastric acid secretion from the parietal cells, which are responsible for the release of H plus into the lumen where it forms HCl. So the excellent treatment or the excellent results can be obtained with the those proton pump inhibitors like Prilosec and the Prevacid, rabeprazole, pantoprazole, lansoprazole, secoprazole. Again, we can go ahead with this certain next, that is components like histamine blockers. Like further again, histamine has good capacity that it can block the gastric acid secretion. In that, Tegamet, Xantex and the Exit can be used. These are all the brand name, right? Next is Carafate. In cases of Carafate or the sucral fat, that is because see, sucral fat has got advantage that it covers the entire region of ulcer, so that further the same ulcer may not be come into the contact with the acid and further perforation can be retarded or reduced, because it has got certain polymers and those polymers will go and bind with the ulcer, right? So that it has got a protective layer onto it. So in that example, sucralfate we can go ahead with. Next is certain mucosal barrier enhancers like CBS, that is colloidal bismuth, and the prostaglandins can be used, which protects the mucosa from further injury. Even antibiotics can be used in cases of antibiotics. We can go ahead with the amoxicillin, ampicillin, PCN, and antibiotics will be the part of the treatment in cases of Helicobacter pylori infection, right? In cases of Helicobacter they are used, but for that specific Helicobacter pylori test can be performed like urea test. So what we have discussed today, we had a discussion on starting with the introduction of the PUD, what exactly it is, where exactly it is limited, the types, next is the pathogenesis of it, even etiology, next is the risk factors for it, the complications that can be seen with peptic ulcer disease, and at last the treatment. So this is all about the peptic ulcer disease. Thank you.